Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. I am Nidhi and today, as the title of the video suggests, I will be telling you all about my best, like my most favorite books of 2021. This year I read 75 books in total, and out of those 75 books I have picked 30 top 30 books that I loved. Like not specifically these books were not specifically released in 2021, but I read them in 2021, so those are my favorite books of the year. Also, I won't really be giving the description of the book. I'll be just reading out my list and like my rating and all, and the genre of the book, because then the video like if I start giving the entire description of the books, the video would be so long. So I have my list on my computer right over here, and without further ado, let's get started. So the first book is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Like by this time you guys would have already watched either the movie or would have already read the book. It's like so famous, and I read it this year and I absolutely loved it. The book was so realistic. The genre is young adult, but do check the trigger warnings before reading this one. Then the next book in the list is Fangirl. This is like literally the most relatable book that I have ever read. Like, I'm so glad I read this while I am in college. You should also read this book if you are in college. If you're not in college, then you may or may not find this book relatable, but if you are in school or college, read this book right now, literally. Again, the genre is young adult. You are going to find a lot of young adult books in this list because it is one of my favorite genres. Then the next book in the list is We Were Liars, and this is a psychological thriller and mystery kind of book, and the plot twist of this book is just amazing. You may not find the characters very likable in this book, but the plot twist is literally amazing. Read this book right now. Then the next book is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and it's a rom-com, and it was so funny, it was so cute, and there is a movie adaptation also for this book. So if you want to watch the movie, I haven't watched the movie yet. I really want to watch the movie, but I don't think it's streaming in India right now. Then the next book is Call Me By Your Name. It's set in Italy, and the writing style is so beautiful, and the ending is just heartbreaking. You're gonna cry after reading this book, I'm telling you. Then the next book is Beach Read, a TikTok sensation, totally worth the hype. It's a rom-com, but it's a little dark. Some stuff is like really dark in this. It has mentions of suicide and all, so do check the trigger warning before reading this one. Then the next book is Life's Too Short, and if I have to choose it, like my top 5 list, then this book is definitely in it. Like this book is just so, it made me it like literally made me cry so much. I was sobbing the entire second half of the book. Again, it's a rom-com, and you're gonna find a lot of rom-coms in this list as well, because I love rom-coms, young adult and rom-coms and fantasy. These three are my favorite top 3 genres. So read this book. It's literally so much underrated, but do check the trigger warnings before reading this one. Then the next book is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, and if you want to read something that is really light and nothing too dark or something, and something really funny, then read this book. This book is a rom-com, and it's so funny. I was literally laughing the entire time while I was reading this book. Then the next book is It Only Happens in the Movies, and it's a young adult book. And if you're a feminist, like I am a feminist, so I read this book, and if you're a feminist, you are gonna find this book so satisfying, I'll tell you why. Because it points out misogyny in the society, and misogyny is like a byproduct of patriarchy. So that is why you are gonna find this book really satisfying. The ending of this book, chef's kiss. Then the next book is Red, White and Royal Blue. Again, another TikTok sensation, and this book falls in the category of LGBTQ reads, and it's also young adult or new adult, I think. I don't remember their age, but yeah. And this book is again really cute. Read this book, please. Totally worth the hype. The next book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, and this book is just so beautiful. The setting of this book, the characters, and the writing style of this book, everything is beautiful. Like beautiful, the word beautiful does not do justice to this book. It's exquisite. It's like every synonym of beautiful will do justice to this book. Then the next book is The Soulmate Equation, and again, if I have to choose my top 5 books of the year, then this book is in the list. And this book is just so cute that I think I'm gonna reread it again in 2022. I'm definitely like Christina. After reading this book, Christina Lauren is literally my auto-buy author now. This book was just amazing. Then the next book is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover, and oh my god, this book broke my heart into a million pieces. It's a romance book and it's young adult also, and do check the trigger warnings before reading this one. This book is going to break your heart. And the Colleen Hoover plot twist of this book, I did not see it coming. Please read this book right now, but do check the trigger warnings before reading. Then the next book is Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean, and this book is rich in Japanese culture, really rich in Japanese culture. It gave me major Crazy Rich Asians vibes, and if you like that movie or that book, read this book. You are gonna love this book. Then the next book is The Cheat Sheet, and it's like my most favorite rom-com of the year because this book has lots and lots of Friends references. I absolutely love Friends, and Friends is literally my comfort show, and this book is just so funny. I was laughing the entire time while reading this book. After reading this book, Sarah Adams is literally my auto-buy author now. This book was the cutest. And Nathan, where do I find a Nathan? Then the next book is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper, and it's a young adult book, and the book revolves around NASA and the astronauts and all. And I love this book personally because it has this small town rustic vibes and the retro vibes. That is why I love this book. Then the next book is Brightside, and I think it's one of the saddest book I read in 2021. This book has like 10 to 15 trigger warnings, so like check all of them. This book is just so sad. It's new adult, and this book had me sobbing like for 4 hours straight. I actually listened to the audiobook, and it was like 12 hours long, and the last 4 hours were so difficult. I was sobbing the entire time and my eyes were red. So if you decide to read this book, do not, I'm repeating, do not sit without a pack of tissues. That's how sad this book is. Then the next book is Gus, which is the sequel of Brightside, and by the same author, of course. And after reading this Brightside, I was like so heartbroken. I was in the biggest reading slump ever. So I found out that Gus, which is the sequel of Brightside, is a happily ever after, and so I thought maybe after reading Gus, I'll feel a little bit better. And oh my god, I felt so much better after reading this book. So if you choose to read Brightside and you are heartbroken, then do read Gus. It will like save you. Then the next book is Neon Gods, and it's the retelling of the myth of Hades and Persephone. I absolutely love Hades and Persephone retellings. Hades and Persephone are my favorite Greek gods, and I love their retelling so much. Then the next book is The Cruel Prince. Again, if I have to choose my top 5 books of the year, I'll choose this book, definitely. Or actually, it even qualifies for my top 5 books of all time. That's how much I loved Cruel Prince and the other 2 books in the series, which are The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. I just love these 3 books so much. Like, these 3 books own my heart. So after The Cruel Prince on my list, there is The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, and I already told you about them. The category is young adult and fantasy, 2 of my favorite genres. Please read this book. I'm begging you to read this book. Then the next book is The Spanish Love Deception, and it was just like Hating Game, and I loved it so much more than Hating Game. It's a rom-com and it's really slow burn. Then the next book is Circe, again another Greek mythology retelling. It's the retelling of Circe, the witch of Aiaia, and like she was exiled to this island because she was a witch, and read this book. It's like totally worth the hype. And to check the trigger warnings before reading this one. And I absolutely loved the writing style of Madeline Miller. She is so amazing. I cannot wait to read The Song of Achilles. I haven't read that book. Can you imagine? Then the next book is Truly Devious, and it's a young adult and a children's book as well. And like, I did not like the first half of the book, but the second half of the book is just amazing. During the first half, like 100 or 150 pages, it was really slow paced, so I was not liking it. I was probably gonna give it 3 or 4 stars, but as soon as I reached halfway through, this book took a really nice turn, and it's a mystery and thriller as well, so it was just amazing. I cannot wait to read the second book in the series. I'll probably read it next year because this year is like almost over. Then the next book is Lore Olympus, and it's a graphic novel series, and again it's the retelling of the myth of Hades and Persephone. I love Hades and Persephone so much. If you guys have any recommendation for their retellings, please tell me in the comment section below. I will read them all. So this book is a graphic novel series, and do check the trigger warnings before reading this one. It has some really like graphic, since it's a graphic novel, obviously it has some graphic representation of some difficult topics. Then the next book is Today, Tonight and Tomorrow, and this is a young adult book, and I absolutely loved it. Why? Because it is academic rivals, and it is the first time I read an academic rivals trope, and I was just amazed. I already knew I was gonna love this trope because it sounds so much similar to Enemies to Lovers. So I loved this book very much, and while reading this book I felt so nostalgic. Please read it if you are in school or in college or out of the college. You are gonna find it so nostalgic. And the next and last book of this video is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This was also my last read of 2021, and oh my god, this book broke my heart into a million pieces. And it was a romance book, but I felt it was more like a women's fiction. And please do check the trigger warnings before reading this one, because I forgot to check the trigger warnings, and one of the trigger warnings is domestic violence and abuse, and like physical abuse. And I was literally feeling sick in the stomach entire time while I was reading this book. So that is why I felt like this was less of a romance book and more of a women's fiction. But I am really glad that I read this book. I don't know why it hurt me really badly. This book hurt me so much. But still it has like, it has managed to be in my top 5 list. So yeah, read this book. But like, I'm telling you all, you're gonna cry so much because this book is just heartbreaking. That is it for today's video. Let me know your best books of 2021, the books that you loved very much. Please let me know so that I can also read them and recommend them to everyone. So that is it for today's video, and like, share and subscribe. Bye.